Good. My name is Jocelyn, pelvic floor physical therapist and owner of the Vagina Doc Physical Therapy and Wellness, and I wanted to come on today and talk to you about some thoughts that I have had over the weekend and something that I have had this, I guess, overwhelming sense of personal duty and purpose in something that I am developing for everyone. And that is on the messages we're sending to our daughters about our pelvic health. So the title of this live is, are you setting an example, a positive example about pelvic health to your daughters? So I am currently looking for volunteers to chat with me on how they believe their lives have been impacted based on how their moms or whomever was their person, their mother figure growing up about female health, pelvic health. I'm asking them how the messages and the lessons, or the lack thereof, how they believe that has now impacted how they view their pelvic health. And the reason why I am talking about this is because so much of this starts, whenever I say this, I'm talking about pelvic health, starts when we're young. So I have, over the weekend, posted videos on aspects of my personal development that I've, I guess, uncovered through deep personal reflection and self-reflection on why I am the way that I am based on things of my past. So the things that relate to pelvic health specifically are more so, I think, our conversations around sex, or the lack of conversations around sex, or the conversations that we've had about fertility, meaning like having periods, and then also the lack of the conversations. Other influencing factors, of course, kind of branch from that. Could have been religion, could have been other unspoken messages that I got from observing people. And while it has positively impacted me right now, I struggled for many, many years in my early 20s and teens. So I want to ask you, what messages were you given around pelvic health about your parts growing up? And can you reflect on your current perspectives about pelvic health? Like, what would happen if you had painful intercourse? Or what would happen if you started peeing yourself during, if you were leaking when you sneezed, or if you were peeing yourself during your workouts, or that you passed gas and you couldn't hold it back, or you had severe pelvic pain or heavy bleeding, or some sort of pain problem around your back, your hips, or something. How are you perceiving that within yourself, and is that sending a good message to your daughters? So let's start there. If you say, if you hide the fact that you're leaking, or laugh at the fact that you're leaking, without saying it, you're telling your daughters that it's okay. And that's just the way it is. Now let's talk, that goes for all of that, what I just mentioned. You're saying that is okay. Well, and I want to be careful by how I say that, but because you don't want to send an improper message. But basically what really, really I'm passionate about changing is women that are laughing off their problems because of deep-rooted insecurities, not because of them, but because of the impact that's having on younger girls, because they're going into their later years and into their childbearing years having this misleading perception about pelvic health. Whether they know if pelvic health is a thing or not doesn't matter. But I urge you, if you're watching this, to take ownership of learning about pelvic health so that you can communicate positive messages to your daughters. Now let's talk about sexual health and fertility. So we need to draw a line. Let's start with self-reflection. How are you first? How comfortable are you speaking to your daughters about periods, about what it means to have a period, about how to use a tampon, about what it means, what intimacy is, what pleasure is, what sex is, because sex could be defined as many different things. How comfortable are you having that conversation with your daughters? And ask yourself, does your level of comfort stem from how your conversations were with your mom? And whatever your answer is, are you okay with that? And if you aren't, what are you going to do about it? I've had so many breakthroughs this week with one of my coaching groups that I'm with. I'm testing and helping them out. And this has been and then also with myself, like, holy crap, this is hugely impactful and I didn't even realize it. And so asking those questions are so important and they're so hard. And it's not to bring on guilt. It's to bring on the desire to change. So not only for you, but also for the people that you love most. So let's say you are not comfortable with talking to your daughters about all these things. Well, besides whoever taught you, why aren't you comfortable? And I can answer that for a lot of you. On the simplest level is that you don't understand what you have. You don't understand how it works. And so you assume whatever perspectives and beliefs that have shaped you up to this point. So what does that mean? Like, okay, if you don't know what your parts are, and all you know is of them being a sexual part of you, you focus on that. Instead of recognizing that this is human anatomy, that serve as a bigger role in our health, from a physical performance, a emotional health, a physiological, like, okay, if this system's running optimally, then other systems are going to run optimally. But if we just focus on the sex piece, then there's this hush-hush taboo. But and that comes in our conversations, that people with whom we have conversations with, particularly with our daughters. And I want to encourage you that there's more to it than just that piece. The biggest thing, it's just like a foot, guys. There's just aspects of it that are involved in other things, just like our arms and our breasts and other things can be, included in intimacy. You don't have to be penetrated for it to be intimacy. So let's take out the sex on the most simplest level. Let's take out the sex of our fertility and our function. So where do you start? You have to learn yourself what you got. And you have to fall in love with what you got. Because let's just go to think outside for a minute. Hate comes from fear. Let me say that again. Hate is connected with fear. So if you don't enjoy, or if it's like, I don't want to talk about that. Are you afraid because of something in your past, or is it simply because you just don't know? And I can say, let's just keep it simple. It's oftentimes what you don't know. We weren't taught this stuff. I wasn't taught this stuff until I was in my doctorate program in physical therapy school. We were taught about physiology of the genitalia in college, but when it comes to functional anatomy, like what is this stuff and what does it do? How does it serve us? That happened in my physical therapy program. So it's not your fault. So don't feel guilty. And there's no shame involved. So let's start there. What do you need to do to not be afraid to have these conversations? Well, you need to educate yourself. So I am putting something together to help you do just that. And it starts within you before you send those messages to other people. I think one of the most valuable lessons I've learned from business is you have to believe in you before anyone else is going to believe in you. So that goes for parenting. You got to believe in what you're doing for your kids to listen. And the start of it is learning about you. Think of the power, or think of, I want you to visualize for a moment what the opportunities with respect to confidence or self-worth your daughter or yourself would have, knowing about your body and what it can do and what to do if something happens and you're not sure what that means. But you can say, okay, this is where it's happening, this is what I feel like, and I know it's not sexual, it's just a part of me. Versus that same person, whether it's you or your daughter, when they don't know what it is, they're afraid because they don't know, and so if something happens, they just stay silent or do something, acting out in some way for attention, like the subconscious, like psychology stuff that's above my head. But you got two things. You take on the route of being of owning this part of yourself so that you can be some sort of guidance to your daughter or to yourself, or you can take a step back and take a step away and not. Which would you choose? I'm interested to hearing what you guys think. I'm super excited to take these next steps on launching this program. And I'm also excited to have my conversations with the people that have volunteered to share their experience of how they perceive their own fertility and their physical health and their sexual health based on the experiences they had growing up. This is not a blame thing. This is just an awareness. If you want to be part of it, if you're willing to share, to reflect on how you believe you've developed your current perspective based on your past, I'm ready to chat. We can chat via written interview questions or written questions, voice recorded questions, or video chat. This is the start. I'm asking also, so these are current moms that have younger daughters. I'm also asking for women, older women, whose daughters are grown up out of the house, and I want to hear about their experience and how they view it now and how they view the way they taught. Like, what are their thoughts now on how they spoke with their daughters? and how they would want, if they could do anything now, what they would do. We can't know where we're going if we don't know where we are. And the fact is, there isn't much on this conversation. If you watch this, thank you for listening. Please reach out to me, comment if you, two things. If you're interested in getting on the wait list for the program before it launches, comment your email below, and I'll send you more information. If you're willing to be brave and talk to me about how these experiences influenced you in your life, comment interview in the comments. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful Monday and a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time on Real Talk with Vagina Doc.